So yeah, we'll just try to do these exercises, and if you guys have any doubts around it, we can discuss them. And whatever concepts that are covered in these particular exercises, right? And whatever concepts are covered, we'll just try to look through them. Okay. So let's first just quickly discuss Python as a language. So some of you already are doing the course, the data science course, so you might be aware already. You guys would have already seen this slide. This will be familiar to you. So in Python, everything is an object, and whether it is any kind of data type or any kind of data structure, Python treats it as an object. Okay. And other than that, Python is free. It is open source, and anyone can use it. It has a very big, diverse community, and it is an object-oriented language. So there is something called OOPS concepts. So OOPS concepts are just a set of concepts which are applicable to any language which follows OOPS concepts. So Python is one of those languages. So concepts like functions, classes, inheritance, all those concepts actually are applicable on Python. Okay. So if you want to go into more details of it, you can go further when you have a sound understanding of Python, then you can go through it. Or initially also, if you want to go through those concepts, you can go through. If you are from a computer science background, you'll find it easy. If you're not, then you'll find it a little bit tougher to understand as of now. But as you progress in your practice, you'll find it easier to understand those concepts. Okay, cool. So other than this, Python is a high level language. So high level language means it is from one system to another system. If you are transferring it, you won't be able to you will be able to run the same code. You won't have to make any changes around it. So that is the concept of being a high level language. Then it is a case sensitive language. So if you're using capital letters and small letters, and if you are doing coding, then it will differentiate between them. Okay. Then it is a general purpose language. So across wide variety of application domains, you can use Python, and you won't have to, it's very, very handy and easy to use across them. So this is just a basic overview of Python as a language, and then some concepts around why it is such a good language. Like, it is a simple, easy to learn and implement, because it is even if you have like basic logical skills, then also if you're not done any kind of coding before, you'll find it easier to do it with Python. Okay. Then it is a very diverse and big user community. There are a lot of applications of Python. So it's easier to learn and implement it. Like, you won't have time, you won't have to spend too much time just learning the language. You can start implementing, you can start designing systems, and whatever application you want to use it for, it's easier to do that. It's free and open source language, so you can get started right away. Then it's portable. So portable has to do with its being a high level language. You can easily transfer it from one system to another. Whatever code you have, you won't have to make much changes around it. Then it has a lot of GUI options, graphic visualization options. So Python has a lot of libraries which are used for creating some really good visualizations for app development, for web development. So all of these places, graphic visualization options come in handy, and Python gives a lots of functionalities and libraries around that. So that is one of the advantages of using Python. Then it is scalable according to size of data. So it's not like, unlike other some traditional languages, they start hanging when you are passing in a lot of information. So it doesn't happen with Python. I mean, obviously the performance a little bit decreases, but Python is able to handle, and it has a better capacity as compared to them. Then it's an interpreted language. Interpreted means it runs line by line. You won't have to, if there is an error, you can line by line see, okay, at this particular line, I'm getting this particular error. So it is easier to debug, okay, because you'll be getting a lot of errors along the way. So it's about that. Okay. Then it's used for data processing and machine learning, all these kind of operations. It has made these operations very easy to do it with Python. Now let's just quickly look at what all we can do. We can do app development with Python. There are different libraries for app end-to-end app development. You can do web development with Python, and then you can create a game. You can create your own game starting from GUI and other functionalities of whatever you want a basic game to have, basic and advanced stuff also. Then it's used for computer vision, face detection. So Facebook uses all this for tagging the users, right? So all of that is face detection and computer vision. So you can use Python for that. And you can also do web scraping. So let's say if you want to scrap a lot of images from a particular page, let's say from e-commerce website. So you can do that with Python. Then it's used for data analysis and visualization, machine learning, for robotics also. So there is something called Raspberry Pi, and that's like a microcontroller or a small single chip keyboard kind of thing. So it is used as a brain of a robot. So you can use Python for that. Then you can do using Selenium, you can do a kind of browser automation. It will click and it will automatically open a, let's say Google Chrome, it will open using Python, and then inside that you can assess different you can click on different elements of the page, and you can easily navigate from one page to another. And using a combination of browser automation and let's say web scraping, you can get a lot of information out from different websites based upon their privacy policy. Okay. So then there is just these four data types: integer, float, string, boolean. So these are the very basic building blocks of Python. Integer is just your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 integer numbers. Then float is numbers with decimal points like 2.34, 5.36, something like that. Boolean is your basic true and false, and Python treats true and false as ones and zeros. Then string is your any kind of character inputs. Those are your string. So this is the basics of Python. Now let's go to this exercises of week 1. So these are the topics which are covered in week 1. On every day, few exercises were posted, and around it some additional tutorials were posted, right? So until now, for 7 days it has been posted. So these were the topics covered, like data types, data structures, comments, variables, index, inputs. Then across HackerRank there is something called if, main, else. So we'll try to see how does that work out. Then we have loops, functions, if else, arrays, and range. So these were some topics covered, and I just hope that you guys would have gone through it, but we'll just try to see that how each of these topics, right, how each of these topics matter. So the exercises which were posted on the very starting couple of days, those were kind of tough if anyone was starting from scratch. So I just put them while creating this blog, I just put them towards the end, and from here it will be a little bit easier, starting from data types and data structures. So yeah, this is these are just some basic ones. So as I told, there are different what do you say, there are different data types, right? So this looks like float. So if I'll just type float here, so this should give me correct answer. So these are just very basic ones. So the thing to understand here is type is used in any Python to understand the data type or understand the type of a data structure. We use type. Inside the bracket we just put it put the name of the variable. So this is a variable, and this is your data type or data structure. Okay, and your data type or data structure is nothing but so your data type or data structure is nothing but how Python is looking at that particular value. So data type is just the attribute, or the type of data which tells Python how it can use this data, how to comprehend this data, right? And you can just use type. And similarly, if I want to give it here, this looks like these are string, but these are inside square bracket, and inside square bracket it will be a list. So if I'll just submit it, it'll just show like this. So this is W3 Schools. W3 Schools has some very basic good tutorials. So if you're starting from scratch to learn Python, then I would suggest that just quickly get done with all of the basic tutorials from W3 schools, and then you can move on to Adabit, and then you can move on to HackerRank. You can go on with them side by side also. HackerRank has some little bit tougher exercises, but yeah, once you're done with your basics, you should find them easier. Okay. So any doubts until now, guys? Okay. Okay, cool. So first, let me just give a quick overview of this thing. So there are two methods. There are two renowned methods through which you can use Python. So one is you can just go. One is that you can just download Anaconda. So Anaconda is just a wrapper or a kind of environment which has different platforms for using Python. So if I just go on and click here, and I'll just click on Get Started. Let me just click on this individual edition. So let's say if you're downloading it on your laptop, just click on download, and you will get different options here if you have Linux system or Mac OS or Windows. So let's say if you have Mac OS, then you can just click on this, and it will start downloading this kind of a exe file or kind of a .pkg file for Mac, and you can just double click on it, and you can just go on selecting different options, and it will just get installed. Once it has got installed, there is something called Anaconda Navigator. Okay, so this Anaconda Navigator, if you'll just open it, it will look something like this. Let me just put it here so that it will take some time to open there. So yeah, this is how it will kind of look like this. So it has PyCharm, then it has GlueWiz, Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebook. So out of this, these are just different ones, and you can use them according to your requirement. All of them have like different functionalities and used for different purposes. So out of these, Jupyter, if you're just starting out, then I would suggest that go with Jupyter Notebook. You can also go with Spider, and Spider has a Jupyter Notebook has this interface that it runs cell by cell. So this is your Jupyter Notebook. I can just type in a code here, and it will just start running, right? So let me just put and something like this. So it just gives the type of it, which is int. This is your Anaconda navigator, and yeah, this is how it looks like in this. So this is Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Notebook. So what you have to do is you just have to click on launch here, and it will just get opened, right? If you want any of them, like if you want PyCharm, if you want GlueWiz, if you want RStudio, so you can also also use R, which is again a software used for statistical analysis or data analysis in Python. Sorry, for like for ML and for general data analysis purposes. Then you also have Spider, and Spider also uh, you can use Python from inside of that also, but it has a little bit of it has a interface which is more useful for different kind of longer codes, right? So once you have learned the basics and all, and if you're like if you want to create a larger framework, then I would suggest Spider, to go with Spider. But again, you can do the same thing in Jupyter Notebook also. It's just a matter of preference, of how user friendly what is your perception about user friendliness of, let's say, Jupyter Notebook or Spider. All right. So it's about that. Then Other than that, you also have one more option actually to access Python. So you can just go to command prompt in your Mac, or you also have something called Conda Manager, which comes with the Anaconda Navigator. So you can go through that also, and you just have to click on Jupyter Notebook and just press enter, and it'll open up something like this. It'll open up something like this. Here are your different files, and you can access to the whichever file you want, and you can go there and you can start using it. Okay. So there is something else called Google Colab. So Google Colab is by Google, and you can just right away start using Python using it. You don't have to, install Anaconda and anything like that. Once it's opened, just click on new notebook. Here are some introduction if you just want to go through that introduction. So there is some question like, can you tell me good laptop specification that all software I can run without any difficulty? So see, if you are planning for basic machine learning, right? Then I would suggest to go for anything which is around 8 GB, right? Anything which is around 8 GB, 8 GB RAM, that is good enough. Okay. But let's say if you are planning for deep learning as well, deep learning, then you would need a better CPU storage. Like if you want to run neural networks and like TensorFlow, Keras, all those libraries, if you are planning to use, right? In that case, I would suggest to go for something more than 16 GB, around 32 GB, something like that. So Mac are usually good. Mac, you won't have much difficulty to install and start using. But let's say if you are if you want to use Windows, then in Windows I would suggest go for something which is equal to or more than 16 GB for deep learning. If you are going for machine learning, then anything around 8 GB, 10 GB, 12 GB, it would work fine. Okay, cool. And yeah, so mostly like with Anaconda, you should be able to resolve. You have I3. Okay. I3 is okay, I think. If you're not doing deep learning, if you are just doing machine learning, then it should be fine. Shouldn't be a problem. For deep learning, I think, what is the specification of your, what is your RAM? Is it is it equal to or greater than 16 GB? If it is equal to or greater than 16 GB, then you should be fine. Okay, then you might face certain problems while doing deep learning, but you can try because um, people are able to use in I3 also. But so there is something called paper space. Okay, so let's say if your laptop doesn't have a specification, then you can use paper space, and paper space is also a interface for using deep learning. All right, so you might have a login and all, and you can start using in this also. Otherwise, in Google Colab also, you should be able to do most of your deep learning. Okay, you shouldn't you wouldn't have to worry about it. But still, like if you just want to build something in your system, then I would suggest go with something greater than equal to 16 GB. Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is your Google Collaboratory. So let me just close the other windows. So this is Paperspace, and Paperspace, as I told, you can use it for deep learning, and it is a little bit better to Google Collaboratory in terms of like uh, running some, like it has some inbuilt capabilities, Paperspace. So you can use Google Collaboratory also. You can use Paperspace also. Sometimes what happens that uh, it has a lot of traffic, Paperspace, because a lot of uh, deep learning professionals use it. So sometimes you might face some latency around it, but otherwise you should be fine. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's close it. Google Colab, and another is which? Another is Paperspace. So let me just put it in the comment window. Space. Yeah, so this one I'm talking about. Okay, cool. So let me just rename it and just give it some name. Okay, so here also you can just give it a name, and if you'll see here, it's asking for connect. So if you'll just run a code here, it'll automatically start. If you look at here, it's allocating it, connecting it, and it initially it will just take some time to connect to the server, and we'll say initializing, and then should get connected. Now it's got connected, and as you can see here, the code got run here. Now let me just add one more line and we'll just put X. So it should give me value 3. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you'll see, you as compared to in your system, Jupyter Notebook is there. It will be a little bit faster. If you run it online using Google Colab or Paperspace, it will be a little bit slower. But uh, let's say if you're using your office laptop or something, and if you're not able to install Anaconda or mm, like Jupyter Notebook, then you probably can go with Google Collaboratory or Paperspace. All right, so this is how we can do the installation and anything and like that. And here are some exercises. So you have like basic syntax, then comments. So one important thing is that let's say if I'm using something like this, if x equal to 3, or let's say if 4 is greater than 5, print correct, sorry, incorrect, or I can write as print correct. Okay, so if I just try to run it, it is giving me correct. Okay, because 4 is less than 5, right? Now the thing I want you to focus on is that if I just keep it like this, it won't run. And Python has its own way of giving errors. So it gives a category, a broad category under which this particular error lies. It'll just exactly tell you under which line you are getting the error, and it will tell you a specification of the error, like expected and indented block. All right. Now the way to correct is simple. You whichever line you are getting it, just go there, do a backspace till the point from where you want the to new line to start or the previous line to end, and just press enter. Okay, so it will automatically correct it. So this is how you can get it corrected. So this is something in Python, indented error, which indentation, it if this specific, if the spaces are not there, a specific amount of spaces are not there, then it will give you error. One more method is you can just press tab. Okay, and you will see whatever options are there. Okay, now let me just quickly create a list. So before creating a list, let me first give a brief introduction around different data types and data structures. So here in W3 schools, you should be able to get a basic understanding of different variables, comments, and different data types and data structures. So these are your different built-in data types: text, string, int, float, dictionary, range, all of these. All right. So you can just, okay, in between, if my connection gets loose, right, just let me know if I'm not audible or something. Cool. So we are, yeah, so these are just, is someone saying something? Okay, okay, Cool. Thanks for confirming. Okay. So yeah, this is just your list. So let's just look at quickly at different data types which are here. This is just your string. Even if you are using this entire string, or even if you are using a single word, Python will treat as a string. There is no character specific data type. Whatever data type you have for characters is string. Okay, even if you use a single one, or if you use a multiple ones like this. Now this one is your int, this is your float, this is simple, then this is complex. Complex is your this uses a complex number, like 2 plus 3j or 4 plus 3i, something like that. Now this is your list, and the list starts and ends with square brackets. You can have multiple data types inside a list.